Let's start with the stinging.
Okay.
So in your book,
Get
you
the stinging
chronicle
out of the
this
way.
thing called the Schmidt Pain Index of Insect Bites.
Yes, stings. Very different than
very
bites.
different. Okay,
Yes.
so what inspired you to chronicle how it felt to be stung?
That's a great question. Well, Justin did an amazing job creating the roadmap for us, right? So Justin Schmidt, this entomologist based out of Arizona, decided that he would create a scale on a level of 1 to 4, 1 being the least painful, 4 being the most painful, as to what it's like to be stung by these insects and how bad it hurts, right? So he wrote a book about it called The Sting of the Wild, and we said, okay, this is a great roadmap for actually doing it on video. And within our YouTube channel, we started to climb down this road of working our way up the ladder to ultimately get to what becomes the most painful sting in the insect kingdom, which releases on our YouTube channel on December 21st.
And what is it? What's the most painful stinging?
You want me to give it away at
Yes,
this point?
we got to give us
Tell
a
us.
tease.
Okay, well, I think as most people know at this point, it will be the Executioner Wasp.
Oh my
so
I don't even know what that is.
this is a paper wasp species in Central and South America. It's a very large wasp.
Is that
Is that
every
what
year?
we're seeing now?
That's the
That's it.
Executioner right there. The pain from that sting lasted for about 36 hours, and the venom
36
has
hours.
necrotic components to it that actually rotted a hole in my arm.
Rotted a hole on your arm. Okay,
Yes.
so
You
if
still have the hole in your arm
We're
to stay?
No, it is healed up at this point. We filmed it about a year ago.
We're
so.
seeing your reaction. We just saw your reaction there. How would you describe it? You're crying. How would
No,
you
that's not
describe?
crying. That's
not
just
crying?
pain.
That's
Coyote
just
Peterson
straight
doesn't
up
cry.
pain. Oh, got it. How would you describe? Just do your best job of describing in words what it felt like.
It's, you know, have you ever kind of poked around in the logs of a fire with one of those pokers? Imagine
Yeah.
that getting stuck into your arm, and you know you burn yourself quickly, like, ooh, you pull back.
Yeah.
This is
It
a burning
stays
that just
there.
continues over and over and over, and you have to just mentally put yourself in this place of meditation where you absorb that pain and you realize that, okay, how far is that venom going to travel? And hopefully it stops at some point so that the pain doesn't continue
When
further
you
into
get
your body.
stung like that, do you lose control of your bodily functions, like any of that stuff?
No, I'd say the hardest thing is then actually describing back to my director, Mark Vins, exactly what I'm going through. He's got
While
this
it's
famous
happening.
meme that's
Yeah.
Coyote, are you okay? So that he can provoke me to actually say what it is that I'm going through. Obviously, you have to describe to the audience what it is that you're feeling.
Is there a risk of death doing this? You have medics around, I assume. Like, were you worried for your life?
That's a great question. So we take very calculated risks, is what we say. So we do a lot of research. Our wildlife biologist, Mario Aldeco, and I do extensive research before I actually take these stings. And while you can go into anaphylactic shock from any sting, even something as simple as a honeybee or a backyard hornet, but in
That's if
most
you're allergic,
cases,
right?
if you're allergic,
Yeah.
right, and you'll go into anaphylactic shock. In most cases, you'll be just fine. It's just very painful. So multiple stings have more likely a chance of being fatal than just a
Okay,
single.
we were just showing video of you wrestling a crocodile or an alligator right
Yep.
there. What's worse on the Richter scale of stings?
Yes.
Being bitten by a snake or an alligator, or one of these stings like you from the executioner wasp that
Well,
you just got?
that's a great question because bites and stings are two very different things, and people often think, even like you said, the bite of something. Stings put in less venom, right? So there's venomous bites, venomous stings, non-venomous bites. So the bite of an alligator has no venom, so that's a lot of pressure, blunt impact force, right? I've been bitten by alligators before. Trust me, it's not pleasant, but they're not venomous, so you're really just suffering from the pain of the intensity of the teeth and the jaw power.
Do you have any survival tips? Like, let's say Baker and I are hiking in the wilderness, we get bitten by something. What should we do?
Just don't get bitten in the first place.
Okay,
It's
well,
always,
let's say
always
we're being-
best to avoid things from a
Let's say we
safe
were
distance.
being dumb and we did get stung.
If
or
you
bitten.
were bitten by something, so again, depends on whether it's venomous or non-venomous,
Yeah.
right? If it's venomous, like if it's a snake and you're like, okay, I got bit and this hurts really bad, the first thing to do is stay calm.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is panic. Keep yourself calm. If you're with somebody else, have that person actually go to get help for you. The more that you get hyped up, or if you try to quickly run or hike out of the situation, your blood is flowing faster, that's pumping the venom faster. Now, if we're talking about something like a bear, obviously that's a far different situation.
Right.
And depending on what bear species it is, I could give you all sorts of different advice. But in any instance, it's always best to try to avoid interactions with wildlife to the best of your
This is
ability.
why I never leave my apartment. I
me.
just
Yep,
stay in there all
we
the
just
time.
stay indoors.
So the book is out. You got the YouTube series, and also you have an Animal Planet show coming in 2019 as well. Give us a peek into that, and how is it going to be different than what we see on your
Sure,
YouTube?
yeah, we are unbelievably excited. I mean, it's a childhood dream come true to have teamed up with Animal Planet and now to produce television content for the network. And it will be similar to what we've done on the Brave Wilderness channel. Obviously, the goal is to get the cameras as close as we can to wildlife and have these up-close interactions, but we now have the opportunity to go to different locations, more vast, expansive locations, and we'll be producing longer form content, right? So if our YouTube videos are on average 5 to 15 minutes in length, Animal Planet, each episode is a 30-minute span. So it'll almost be like mini movies every single week.
I'm curious about like the crew and all the people who are around you, the camera people. What kind of training do they get, and do they get scared being around these animals?
Oh, I'd be terrified if I was a crew member.
My crew is unbelievably fearless. So Mark, our director, and Mario, our wildlife biologist, and then we've got a couple other people that we usually work with on location. Everybody is very much in tune with the environment. And honestly, my job's tough, catching and presenting the animals, but for those guys to hold the cameras, keep everything in focus,
Keep it still.
not get things covered in mud and grime, that is a challenge unto itself. So we work as a very close dynamic to make sure that we get the best content possible for the episodes.
All right, another project you're working on with Universal Pictures is Jurassic World Explorers, where you're basically looking at dinosaurs in the modern age, which I think is really cool. What's the one thing that maybe we don't know about dinosaurs that maybe is an interesting thing about them?
They're still here today. Most people don't realize that birds are avian dinosaurs. So something like a cassowary or an emu, and an emu is a bird that we featured recently, comparing it to velociraptor. While there are significant differences, I would probably say that a cassowary is closer to a velociraptor in a certain sense than even an emu is. But these intelligent, land-dwelling and a lot of even the flying birds are their own versions of dinosaurs. A dinosaur is just as much a bird as a bat is a mammal, if that makes sense. So even though it looks completely different than what you would think, they are completely related.
What do you make of the depiction of dinosaurs in movies like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World? Realistic?
I mean, it defines how we see dinosaurs, but I'm certainly all about the theories of dinosaurs having feathers. And did they have feathers at different points in life? Did they have them as youngsters and then lose those feathers as they got older? I think all of it's fascinating, and the cool thing about dinosaurs is that we have the skeletons, so it leaves a lot of room for the imagination for each individual to portray a dinosaur in their own minds, which is pretty cool.
Wow, so exciting. Coyote Peterson, creator of the Brave Wilderness Adventure series. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.